What's up, everybody? We are back for a recap episode of number 5 Georgia beating number 1 Texas 30-15. Um, Carson Beck 23 of 41 with 175 passing yards. ETN had 19 carries for 87 yards. Their best receiver was Delp with 2 receptions for 45 yards. They did have Lovett 4 reception, 35 yards. Quinn was 25 for 43, 211 yards. Arch Manning 3 for 6 with 19 yards. Quinn did have one interception. Carson Beck, by the way, 3 interceptions. Wisner 15 carries, 52 yards. I don't see Blue for any carries on this list. He did have 7 receptions for 48 yards. Matthew Golden led receiving yards, 3 receptions for 77 yards. Sack-wise, Georgia had 7 sacks. Texas had 1 sack. Well, boys, we're finally here in the SEC play. I've never been blown up by people I don't know in my life talking trash about, and their team's not even in it. So now, for all you Georgia fans that we're talking trash, thank you, welcome to finally SEC football. Also, because none of y'all have played anything so far positive this year as well. So, what did you guys think of the game? I feel like we got to first talk about the trenches.
It was rough, man. It was rough. Yeah, I mean, I felt like they kept coming out of the game. Everybody was talking about the O-line, and I tried rewatching this morning to get a better grasp on what was happening. Like, they didn't play how they needed to play, but I don't feel like it solely rests on them. Like, we were giving our quarterbacks time; they were making bad decisions. I just rewatched the first half, and like every decision they were making, they were watching them throw into double coverage to try to make the big play while there's 2 other guys wide open on the other side of the field, just making bad decisions with the ball. And the O-line didn't hold up nearly as well as I guess they've been talked about this season. They couldn't do anything for the run. Like, trying to get anything up the middle, there just was no opening there. Georgia shut it down. I didn't think that was going to happen. Like, I knew they were going to be tough. I didn't think they were going to be completely shut down our run game. So it was rough to watch, man.
Yeah, I mean, offensive line struggled. I mean, there's no way around that. Offensive line struggled. They got exposed in most areas. Georgia clogged the middle. We couldn't get anything going up the middle with the run. And then, dude, freaking Jalen Walker, the linebacker for Georgia, is just an absolute monster. Yeah. Absolute monster. I feel like anytime we got anything around the edge, he was there. And I don't know, man. It's just disappointing to see. We had that running back by committee, like we said, all year. And then all of a sudden this game, we just decide to only let Wisner carry the ball. I mean, we're not going to give Blue a shot. We're not going to give Gibson a shot. Like, I feel like we've done it all year, and we've talked about how, different guys coming in kind of expose different areas of the defense. And I'm not saying Wisner had a bad game necessarily. I mean, he did have 52 yards, but how does nobody else get carries, man? I don't understand that whatsoever with the coaching call there. And then Quinn just looked rattled, man, all game. He throwing into double covers. There was multiple times that we saw, like you said, where there was a check down or there was somebody open and he didn't see it. So yeah, I don't know, man. We have to go back to the drawing board on this, but that Georgia defense really exposed our offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really sucks too, because the first quarter, the defense on our end was fantastic. I mean, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, our DBs were playing lights out.
I mean, realistically, our defense, the positions that they put our team in that first half, especially, we should have been up by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Like it's crazy. Like that really dictated the game. The second half, we finally came out and made a little bit of adjustments that we needed to at least be in the ball game. But that first half is really what killed it. You can't give the field position that we were giving. You can't not capitalize. We didn't throw a deep. I don't feel like we threw a deep ball at all. Like it was.
There was 3 in the first half that I saw rewatching the game.
I remember going
balls.
going back to yeah, that's the thing. Like going back to Alabama. Like you look at when we played Alabama in Alabama, we were taking deep shots.
Yeah.
Like and it was like we were not doing that at all. They looked like they were. I mean, Quinn looks like he's on his first read. Like, and he was locked in to whatever that first read was, and wait for it to develop when there are guys open. Arch comes in. We heard the screaming, and we'll talk about this. Arch comes in the second quarter. The crowd erupts. Here's our savior. Oh, guess what? He gets one face mask penalty on a run, has another run, but also didn't do anything as well. I mean, that wasn't the problem. Like, I truly don't think. I think both QBs, like, they know what Sark is going to call for Quinn. He wants those small little 5 out routes, 5 or 10 yards. Like that's his bread and butter. And Georgia covered that very well.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very poor decision, whoever made it. I get he's trying to create a spark. But as we talked about, that wasn't going to change the game. Arch is not somebody that's going to pick a defense apart, especially this defense at this stage in the game. It's just not going to happen. And you saw that by him running the ball. Like it's just one of those. I think it was a very poor decision. I'm sure there was some pressure from people up top to put him in and at least try it. But what did you guys think about that situation?
I mean, I hated it in the moment when it happened. Rewatching it again today, I don't hate it as much. I felt like, sorry, man, I got something going on in my throat.
Early morning.
Yeah. Quinn was looking really defeated and just kept getting battered back there. And I don't know. I felt like Quinn needed a break. I know it's not a great narrative to play out of putting Arch in and starting that whole controversy again, but like it looked like Quinn needed a break. So like watching it from that perspective, I wasn't as mad about it. Like not mad, but I didn't hate it as much. But I mean, it wasn't effective at all. They had our number all night long. There wasn't any change in that.
Yeah, I don't like it. I feel the same way I did last night. I hate the call. I absolutely hate the call. I think it's unfair for Arch to be put into that situation. You're completely throwing him to the fire for no reason. I know Quinn wasn't effective in the game, but we're talking about 22 minutes of football have been played. Like, why are we hitting this button right now? It just didn't seem necessary to do that in that moment, especially going into the half. If you're going to make that call, you make that call coming out of half when you can sit there and talk to your quarterbacks and tell them what's going on. It just seemed like an emotional decision that makes me feel like it wasn't ultimately up to Sark. It had that feeling that somebody above was making a call that pushed it because, I mean, like I said, it would make the most sense for that situation to be called after half when you can sit down, talk to these quarterbacks, tell them what's going on. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the call. I felt like it was a desperation move, which I understand at that point. I believe it was 20-0. So I don't know, man. I don't like it.
I take both takes into consideration here. Like Seth's take of he needed a break. He needed to kind of regroup himself. The reason we don't like it is because we had people blowing up our phones saying it's Arch time. He's going to come and save the day, and no, he's not. Like that's the thing that bothered me the most. Is I mean I heard it in the crowd, like people are screaming as I'm walking. Screaming, why is Quinn still in? Put Arch in.
Yeah, dude, the buzz in the stadium was crazy.
Learn football at this point. Like, if that's what you're going to sit there and scream, like that wasn't the problem. Yes, there were some reads and everything that he should have thrown the ball to different receivers. Like, yes, there is that. However, you're not going to fix a problem with the offensive line and the fact that Georgia really just was playing very, very good defense. That you're not going to change that, and it's crazy to me. It shouldn't shock me because it's Texas fans. Like it's those, we need to win now, no matter what. And the second we get a little adversity, oh, here we go. Let's put Arch in.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. Stop saying it. If Quinn is hurt, then Arch is coming in. Unless that's the case, get ready to not see Arch play, because this is just not. Now Quinn is going to have to step up. I will say that he's going to have to figure out how to manage the game like he did against Alabama last year, like he did in the last 6 weeks. Something may still be going on. Like, I mean, you can't call it rust, I guess, because this is his second game, I guess, back. But I still don't see it as rust. Now, last time he came back, it did take 3 games, and all of a sudden he's just lights out. But we got Vandy coming up. Like, they're not a slouch team. So the offensive line is going to have to figure that out. But as far as the quarterback controversy, there is no controversy still. Like, it's still the same answer.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, I think you look at there was 3 fumbles from the quarterbacks.
Yep.
Quinn had 2, Arch had 1. I mean,
well, Quinn had 1 that he got lit up.
Dude, the one that Quinn got hit, I wasn't sure he was going to get up from that.
Yeah, he got destroyed.
He got absolutely destroyed. And some of those sacks were just them holding the ball too long. I just felt like it felt the same thing as last week, man. I just felt like we had no rhythm offensively. It felt like Quinn was sitting back there with happy feet and he couldn't get anything, and he was thrown into the dirt a lot. Just, I don't know, it just looked dysfunctional on the offense. There was no flow throughout the entire game. Props to Georgia. They disrupted us the entire game. But one thing I did want to bring up, so shout out to our defense for keeping us in the game.
Bro.
Defense played a great game. This is Georgia's stat lines on their scoring drives in the first half. 4 plays, 13 yards, touchdown. 7 plays, 13 yards, field goal. 3 plays, 34 yards, touchdown. And 7 plays, 25 yards, field goal. That's where their 20 points came from in the first half. We're talking about 13 yards, 34 yards, and 25 yards.
Correct.
They did not have to drive the ball more than 35 yards to score points. And I think if you look at that second half, Georgia had 1 drive the entire game where they drove the length of the field on us and scored. Those 20 points were just gimme points for them. Carson Beck threw 3 interceptions, and then he really didn't have to do anything the rest of the game. He just had to nickel and dime, get him a few first downs, but they rode Etienne out the rest of the game. And defense played good enough to win this game, absolutely. This could have been a completely different game if our offense would have just consistently put some kind of points up on the board in those situations. It's got to be absolutely defeating for a defense to go out there and get 3 interceptions, and literally the offense has nothing to show for it. So I feel like defense, I'm still extremely confident in this bunch. I thought they played a great game. They kept us in the game at times. There was that one drive in the third quarter where we really needed to stop, and they let Georgia drive down the field, which was unfortunate. But other than that, man, I wanted to give a little shout out to the defense. Yeah, you got to be gassed out. Offense couldn't stay on the field. I didn't really get a chance to see the time of possession, but I'm assuming it was a little lopsided. It may have balanced out in the second half because we had a few long drives, but man, it's just disappointing because the defense did exactly what they needed to do to start that game. Carson Beck was uncomfortable. He never got in a rhythm all game. Under 200 yards passing. He just really no big explosive plays hardly given up by the defense. I believe there was 1 40-plus yard pass and then a couple of 20-yard passes. But we really didn't give up any explosive plays to them all game.
They did struggle shutting down the run. Etienne just kept gashing us. That was
yes and no. I felt like he was gashing us in the second half, like after they had been gassed a little bit. Time of possession really wasn't that far off. 30 minutes and 26 seconds versus 29 minutes, 34 seconds.
That's pretty even.
But that's overall, it's still, it just felt like the defense just kept kept getting back on the field. My big thing was third down efficiency on offense is 2 of 15 for the Longhorns, but third down efficiency for Georgia is 6 of 17. Like that's pretty good. Both teams had a fourth down convert. We went for it on fourth down 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those, like, as far as talking defensively, I think the secondary played really well.
Yeah.
I think they really stepped up. They locked down the wide receivers. I mean, Carson Beck can throw the football at times. He couldn't again yet last night, but I mean, there were some throws that he should have made too. Carson Beck did not look very good at all. But I mean, especially the secondary kept everything on lockdown. There was a couple big gains given, but everything was kind of handled on that end. So I'm still all in on the defense. We've got a very good defense. I think Georgia literally played this like an SEC championship game. Like that's my take on that. Like I think they just felt like they had to win this game, and so that's why they stepped up.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
I'm back to quarterbacks. I really want to know what's happening with Quinn. Like,
Yeah.
I was so impressed at the Michigan game. Like, I'm still riding on my impression of him from the Michigan game. He was such a game manager. He just looked on top of everything. Even in bad moments, he was calm and collected, did what he needed to do with the ball, and he just looked like, oh, we're gonna have this amazing game manager this season. And all of a sudden, like, he's not the same guy, and I don't know why. And I don't know. Can that be changed back? Is it just mental? He's in his head, or what's going on with him?
John.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm at a loss too. I just feel like he is healthy. I don't think it's an injury issue. I never see him, showing signs of that whatsoever. I just don't know why mentally he's not seeing the field the same way right now. I feel like ever since he's come back from this injury, and he just hasn't looked the same in the pocket. That Michigan game, he was cool, calm, collected, sit there, planted his feet, drove the ball into there. And I feel like ever since he's gotten back, I feel like you see him, he's constantly bouncing around, trying to that's not his bread and butter. He doesn't need to be moving around outside the pocket to throw the ball. He needs to be sitting there. He's a pocket passer. And maybe he hasn't had the time to do that. Maybe that is the offensive line. Maybe it's him holding the ball too long, but he looks so unconfident in the pocket right now. And I don't know what happened from, like you said, the Michigan game, then the injury to now. Like, where's the disparity there that happened? I don't know, man. I'm not 100% sure. I'm still confident that Quinn's going to figure it out, but man, what a freaking punch in the gut this was for the offense. And Sark, I mean, that play calling at times was very suspect as well yesterday. I hated some of those play calls. I feel like we talked about how Sark was going to bust out and let this, fly against a big game like this. And I feel like our play calling was super vanilla. It's stuff that we've seen all year. Georgia had seen that. They tried that little where they handed off and they try to do that little dump off screen that we've seen be very successful last year and even this year. And as soon as they called that, Georgia was like, the defense's just eyes lit up. You could see they were like, oh, we know exactly what this is.
Yep.
And it just seemed like that was that way all night. It seemed like Georgia knew what was coming. We didn't give them anything fresh and new that they seemed unsure about. It just seemed like we were just trying to grind for freaking 5 yards. I mean, Quinn's average was 4.9 yards on his passes. I mean, we were literally just nickel and diming him down the field. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see how Sark responds to this because he's the offensive guru, right? This is supposed to be one of the best offensive minds in the country, and I still believe he is, but we got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what went wrong and why we're playing the way we played and why is one running back getting carries? Like that's my biggest question mark too is why did we ride Reisner so hard and not give Blue a shot at running the ball or Gibson a shot at running the ball?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it really felt like, especially the first half, we abandoned the run again. Like we didn't really run the ball much at all.
I mean, the first half that I just rewatched, like they weren't getting any. Like they weren't doing anything fancy with the run. They kept trying to
Right.
go right up the middle and
Right.
having zero success with it.
Right.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and that, I mean, but that goes back to the offensive line. Like, you know, it's that's what was going to set up a lot, but Quinn just couldn't settle down. And there's something with Quinn. Him and Beck both lost money in the draft last night. Like,
Yeah.
I firmly believe that. Thank God the Heisman talk is all done for Texas. Now we can just focus on football.
Yeah.
What a weight off our shoulders.
Yeah. We'll talk about this wild something I've never seen before, and I couldn't believe it happened. We do have a interception, ran back to inside the red zone, and all of a sudden there's laundry on the field. They call pass interference. We start booing. They show a replay. It didn't show it. They show another replay, and all hell broke loose. From the student section, I mean, it was the loudest boo I have ever heard.
Yeah.
And the student section just got really rowdy and started throwing stuff, and somehow got the officials together, and everyone's pissed off. Here comes Georgia in. I look on the field and they just make an announcement that we couldn't hear because everyone's still pissed off. And all of a sudden, we have the football in the red zone. It's like, wait, did they just overturn a pass interference call? And sure enough,
I still haven't seen it. I was in the bathroom. I have to go watch this.
I've never seen, like, number one, it was an egregious call. Number two, Texas fans don't ever do that. And I didn't realize this. I looked back on that play. I watched it on my phone, and Sark came all the way across the sidelines and was in the middle of all those people picking up bottles, saying, please stop throwing stuff. Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. So for all you little student section, quit being a bunch of clowns, right? A bunch of crybabies, right? Let them handle it. However, some would say that actually got them to reverse the call.
I was going to say, but it worked.
I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, it gave them time to get together and talk about it because play got stopped, and then they had to talk about it. Georgia was trying to get up there and run a play. You know, they were trying to keep it going. Yeah, I hate to see the trash thrown in the field, man. That's some crap you see in the Big 12. That's some crap you see from Texas Tech.
Yeah,
that's not Texas. Super disappointed to see that. It's not who we are. It's very classless. I hated that aspect of it, but yeah, honestly, in my opinion, I think they reversed it because of that, because they actually had time to sit there and talk about it, and that ref said that he erred on the call. But man, what a freaking bizarre play. Like you said, dude, I hadn't ever heard that stadium boo as loud as it was.
Dude, it was so loud. I mean, that official had to have seen a red dot on his chest in the middle of that. To make a reverse call like that is the most insane thing. I mean, Seth, they literally called the penalty. Georgia's lining up to hike the ball to go the other direction. Stuff starts coming on the field. Then they stop the game. Teams split up. Sark is in the end zone telling the student section to stop. There's water bottles everywhere in the end zone. I'm all pissed off. Like, how is that a call? Like, and then look up and we just have the football in the red zone. I've never seen them reverse a call like that.
That is wild. I mean, the boos were insane from down in the restaurant. I can't imagine what they were like up in the stadium.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, I know we talk about DKR, you know, how we feel disappointed at times. Dude, that stadium was the loudest I think I've ever heard DKR last night.
It was loud.
I mean, it was rocking at times. People were up on their feet. I mean, it was loud. I went back and watched a few of the highlights to see how it sounded on TV, and man, it was really freaking loud. So that was cool to see for sure. I mean, I wish we would have had a little bit more to cheer about there, but
yeah,
the stadium was just it was rocking.
That was a positive thing. Like, we hadn't scored a point and they were still loud. Like, it was the second half and they were still loud like that. Like, it took some of us hyping them up a little bit, but I mean, we were in that aisle just up and down, like raising our hands in the air. It was crazy. It was
felt like a coach on the
oh,
sideline.
I definitely felt yeah. I felt like I needed a milkman outfit.
Super off topic, but did y'all see that fan earlier in the week? The shirtless guy dressed up like a coach with the Waffle House menu.
Yeah, I did. The Florida State,
Yes,
fan. He had
that
a
was the
freaking
best thing.
gaming headset on, and then a Waffle House menu with his shirt off, making calls. Freaking hilarious, dude.
I saw some guy put a text message with his wife on that exact thing. Like, why is the coach in the stands with his shirt off? He's like, that's not a coach, it's a fan. Well, why does he have the playbook? That's a Waffle House menu. Oh boy. Anything else? I'll let you guys. Do you have anything else for the game? Then I'm going to say one last thing.
I still got to watch the second half over again. I mean, there were some drinks
What were you,
flowing.
just taking a dump the whole second half, dude? Like,
no, the drinks were flowing. There was
yeah.
a very handsy Georgia fan next to me. I was quite distracted in the game. So she was married. It was not like great distraction, but like yeah.
I feel like we need to have a little sidebar after this.
I know. This is, yeah.
It was very strange. Her husband was getting upset, and I was just like putting my hands up.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
It
was weird.
Dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just going to say, we all made it in the game. I didn't get that. We didn't shout that out. We won't say how we all got in the game, but we all got in the game.
Allegedly,
we were there. And it was super cool to experience that game, man.
Yeah.
This is one of those that we've circled on the schedule ever since this came out. And the fact we were all able to be there and experience it, I know it was an extremely tough game to watch, but man, it was super cool to be at a night game and seeing that atmosphere at DKR.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Hopefully that drops ticket prices a little bit, because good Lord, like
God,
tickets. I thought before the game, like day of, they just kept going.
How you gonna talk about that when you didn't pay a dime to go to the game?
I'm just saying, because I would have paid if they were anywhere close to. I mean,
yeah, just keep going up, man.
For
it was
future,
like 800.
Yeah, for a single ticket. Like, I'm walking around in the scalpers, like one ticket, $600. I was like, bro, it's 10 minutes of game time. What are you talking about? Enjoy that ticket. My last thing is the rest of the SEC that did not play us yesterday. Shut up. We know we're in the SEC now, but we didn't play you because we'd mollywop your team. You can sit there. Oh, now that's why this conference sucks, is because you got all these teams riding everybody else. Like, oh, see, you played Georgia. You didn't play a good team. Shut up. I'm so tired of LSU fans, of Arkansas fans, of South Carolina fans sitting there saying, oh, look, you finally played a team. Guess what? We're going to go play Vandy, who beat Bama. That's a team, right? Now all of a sudden you guys want to allow them into your conference when you talk like, oh, they're the bottom of the barrel of our conference. Now you're like, oh, they beat any Big 12 team. Well, no, because Big 12 cannibalizes themselves. You go play in the Big 12, it's a completely different football where you don't know if you're going to win or lose. I don't care what your ranking is. Look at the Big 12. There's only a couple. Iowa State barely survived. So don't give me that. I don't care about anybody but our football team. I don't care. So stop sucking each other's teams off. It gets absurd. Jeez.
They really do, man. They really do. I was looking at the message boards and seeing all the comments. Like the top comment was like, "See, Texas got exposed when they finally played a real team," and it was a freaking Arkansas fan.
Exactly.
Was on there. And I'm like, what?
And guess what, buddy? Dude? We're coming to your house to find out. Okay. This is why
it may be a ranked matchup. It may be a ranked matchup this next week. I fully anticipate Vanderbilt getting in now. And, because you had a couple of teams lose down there at 24-25. Michigan.
Michigan finally is out. Thank God.
So Michigan's finally out. So we'll get a bounce back game versus a ranked opponent and get a chance to show that we made some adjustments.
Where do you think Texas lands on the poll?
I was going to look at the top. I mean, I know they're going to release it here soon.
5 or 6, maybe.
I would say 6.
I don't think they drop them that far. I mean, look at where they put Alabama and Georgia after they played each other. Like, Alabama's dropping way out.
Yeah.
They lost again.
Yeah, Alabama's dropping way out, so it should be. I anticipate it's going to be Oregon. In my opinion, I think it should be Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, Texas. I think you have to reward Miami for being undefeated still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. I think Georgia jumps Ohio State.
Yeah, I think they'll be the top one-loss team, right? And they may even keep them ahead of Miami. But I guess we'll see how it all plays out. But freaking Big Ten at the top of the polls, that's BS in my
And
opinion.
it's crazy. I mean, and then you got little Miami going to move up. Like, so sick of it. Bama drops down. LSU's going to move up. Aggies are going to move. I mean, you can't put A&M behind Alabama anymore with 2 losses.
Yeah, you would think Bama would drop pretty far at this point into the mid-teens.
Yep.
BYU, I anticipate getting some more love and drive up the polls as well.
Both Big 12 teams squeaking it out this week.
Yeah, that's true.
Indiana, man, I don't know if they're that good, but Nebraska's not. They haven't been terrible, but Indiana, man, there was a fan out there at the tailgate I was talking to. I just looked at his jacket. I was like, Indiana, man, you guys are. He goes, I'm just riding a high. In my lifetime, we've never had a football team, so I'm just enjoying it while it lasts. It's like, that a boy, that a boy.
Yeah, if you look at that right now, I mean, we talked about the Big Ten sitting on top of the polls, right? With Oregon and Penn State. Indiana's 4-0 in the Big Ten right now, sitting actually on top of that conference. So, I mean, I know they still got to play. If you look at their schedule, they still got to play Michigan and Ohio State, which I know Michigan's shouldn't be anything at this point, but they got to go to the Horseshoe to play Ohio State. So that's going to be crazy to see if these freaking Cinderella stories continue with Indiana and Navy and Army. So it's kind of fun to see all these random teams in here.
Oh, we are a noon game, it looks like, for next week.
They had just announced it's 3:15 SEC Network.
Is. Oh, because AP poll has it at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, they. I'll make sure.
I thought it was going to be a the mid game time slot.
Yeah, Texas football announced an hour ago. Texas at Vanderbilt will kick off Saturday at 3:15 Central on SEC Network.
Yeah,
sweet.
Some midday game.
Mizzou, Alabama. Does Alabama go down 3 in a row?
Man, did you see Milroe's dad?
No.
Milroe's dad was in the stands, and obviously he was getting heckled pretty hard by Tennessee, and man, he was losing his shit.
Oh, I bet.
he going off on somebody or what?
He was turning around screaming at people, cussing them out. Then he was like filing out of the stadium. I mean, he was big mad for sure. I was like, oh crap, that's I can't imagine what those Tennessee fans though were letting rip at that moment though.
Yeah.
Oh, did we talk about Kirby Smart crying at the end of the game?
No.
Did y'all see his post-game interview? Sitting there, ESPN, you guys counted us out. No one believed in us. Y'all wrote us off. And then the referees are trying to hand them the game by robbing us of calls. I was like, shut up, Kirby. Go push another quarterback. Like, what are you talking? God, the SEC in general, a bunch of crybabies. Now we're along with that. I'm doing it right now. Yes, sure. Stop crying about you're getting your calls robbed. Like, get out of here, dude.
You got 2 targeting calls in the second half. What are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah,
they were reviewed. And they looked at him, and they both determined both of them were targeting. I know he complained about that, and I'm like, dude, what do you want? I get being upset about the interception call. It's a bizarre thing. I would be upset about that if it was flipped the other way and it was Georgia that did us. I would be so pissed. But yeah, I didn't hear it, but I read about what he said. I couldn't stomach watching him talk crap over there. So
yeah, he's such a clown.
I do love the impersonation though.
Oh yeah, dude, that was actually spot on.
That was great.
Yeah. like a little hoarse throat helps that one a little bit with the squeaky, but
I do declare.
yeah. I'm trying to see who Georgia plays next week. Hold on. Give me this. Let's see here. Because I'm telling you right now, the way
They
he
got
reacted.
Florida.
Oh yeah, no. I look at Florida's turning into a good football team right now, and then they got Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to beat them. Then they got Tennessee. They're going to have 3 losses. It'll be fine.
Yeah, the next 3 games, not easy games
No,
for sure. I mean, looking at the SEC now, you have LSU and A&M that are undefeated in the conference still. You have Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, Texas, and Vanderbilt all sitting there with 1 loss now. So this is one of those times now where we really can't afford another conference loss if we're going to end up playing in Atlanta in December.
Yep.
So I know, obviously LSU will take a loss somewhere, A&M will take a loss somewhere. So you'll see 4 or 5 teams that have 1 loss for sure. But we'll have a chance to shoot back up there if we can just handle business. But yeah, it's flooded right now at the top of the SEC standing now.
Yeah.
34-24. You had. Oh, that's an L. I'm looking at the games from the week. Just checking to see what all we had from our picks. No one was close in the score of the football game. Just FYI.
Not anywhere close.
Colorado won, right? Yeah,
Colorado
they smoked
did
Arizona. So that's a green. Kentucky, Florida.
Was
Kentucky,
what was Elliot's prediction?
30-6.
Yeah, 30-6. Yeah. He said Texas, right?
Yeah. I need to confirm on that.
Kentucky, I heard they lost.
Yeah,
Yep, 48-20. They got 48-20.
Yeah.
Bro, talk about a Jekyll and Hyde team. And then Arizona State.
Has Florida figured it out? What's going on right now?
Yeah, for real.
God dang, dude, they're running back 22 carries, 106 yards, 5 touchdowns.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, Colorado 34-7. Yeah, that Baylor Texas Tech is kind of crazy. Like 59-35. There's
classic Texas Tech. They finally get in some kind of conversation for the conference, and then they take a huge L.
Bro, what classic Big 12 TCU comes away with a win against Utah 13-7? What?
Dude, Utah's in shambles right
Big
now.
12
for real.
Big 12 is crazy. All right. So did Arizona State or Cincy win? It was +5.
Since he won.
By how much?
10.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there we go. So
24-14.
Seth went 3-2 on
Not bad.
the week,
5 picks.
which should take you to 14-12. I went 2-3, so I am now 12-13-1. And Jono, you went
1-4.
yeah, dude, almost got the double-digit wins. So you're at 9-17.
Freaking a couple of them were right. They just didn't cover the spread. And the only one I got was freaking Michigan.
Well, with 5 games now, there's still time to come back.
Did we check Joe's picks?
Oh, yeah, Joe's. Let me.
You had Navy -17, which I think covered.
Yeah, definitely covered.
Texas State -10.
Texas State. Texas State is. See, this is what I get for trying to search.
Texas State got beat 24-14.
Okay, so
by Old Dominion.
And then next one is USC -7, which USC lost, so that's wrong. A&M -16.
I think that covered for sure. Let me verify.
I thought they only won by 10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually. Oh yeah, that is correct. Yep.
34-24.
34-24.
And Iowa State minus 14. So we got 2.
Yeah,
You got
Iowa
2.
State did not cover that. So 2 and 3.
Wait, Iowa State didn't cover?
Iowa State did not cover.
Oh, he only got 1 then.
Yeah, Iowa State barely won.
Dude, they snuck that out. I watched the highlights on it. Central Florida went up
Yeah.
35-27 in the fourth quarter, and then last 8 minutes of the game, they pulled off a couple scores to go up. So Iowa State's still undefeated, and if you look at their schedule, very favorable going out. So they see Iowa State running the Big 12 for a little bit.
Yeah. Anything else for the week?
I was trying to see if there's any other games to kind of bring up. Miami snuck by again against Louisville. Apparently, there was another questionable call about a fumble that I didn't really get a chance to see, but I had Joe text me about it. Said that he fumbled and they returned it back for a touchdown, and they reviewed it and called it a incomplete pass. So sounded like ACC was making some more calls to make sure that
Of course.
their precious Miami stands undefeated again.
Yes, of course.
Clemson winning big. Missouri scraping by. Army and Navy both winning again. Navy, I believe, goes up against Notre Dame next week. So
yeah,
okay.
Finally get a chance to prove themselves there. But yeah, just kind of casually going through these games. But
Navy does play Notre Dame at 11 a.m.
That'd be good.
That will be very good.
SMU Ponies.
Yeah, baby.
Big win on the road.
Yeah, baby.
40-10.
Nice.
LSU, big win on the road in Arkansas, 34-10. Is there anything else?
What happened to West Virginia? They were they were really fun to watch last year. Not anymore.
Yeah. I think in this next podcast that we do midweek, we need to bring up coaching hot seats. I think looking at some of these games, I think there's a lot of coaches that are on the hot seat right now.
One loss, bud.
I'm sure there'll be message boards saying that.
Yeah.
No, I was about to say the casual Texas fans will be calling for his head for sure.
Sark is going to the NFL. He doesn't even care about Texas anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to get clipped.
They want us to go get Bill Belichick.
All right, boys. Well, again, Texas falls down from the number 1 spot. We will find out soon where they actually move into, but we will live on for another day. We are nowhere close to out of anything right now. Just got to sack up and turn it around next week against Vanderbilt and move on. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you in the middle of next week. Hook 'em horns, boys.
Hook 'em, y'all.